At this point, we usher in another much-awaited segment, and that is Business Movers. The company behind the famous Filipino brand of spirits, DistilleriaLimtuaco, is one of the oldest in the country, dating back to the 1800s. Sitting at the helm now is a woman, the heiress to this family-owned company, and the lady president is this week's focus on Business Movers.
Mrs. Olivia Limpe calls the shot at DistilleriaLimtuaco, a job that is not too common for a woman. But let's get to that later. For now, Miss Olivia is happy to share with us a brief history of her family.
The founder of this company is Limtuaco, Don Bonifacio Limtuaco as they called him. And he had his roots from China, from Fujian, China. And he brought with him to the Philippines a family guarded, secret recipe of a Chinese medicinal wine, which he branded as Si Hoc Tong, which later became the generic term for Shock Tong or Chinese medicinal wine. So the brand name became a generic name, pretty much like your Colgate and toothpaste, right? So that's the start of it. From my mother's side, my mother is from the northern part of China, so they're from Shanghai area, no? She's a first-generation immigrant to the Philippines. She met my father when she was 18. She was gifted a Southeast Asian tour of her father, who was an ambassador of Taiwan. And she met my father here. She never went back. She never went back to the U.S. She was in boarding school in the U.S. then. And she fell in love and married my father, and she stayed here for the rest of her life.
The Limpe family settled in Manila, so they do not really have a province to speak of. This purely Chinese family, though, is not your ordinary Chinese immigrants.
I think we're quite different from a lot of Chinese families because my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, was educated in the U.S. So he took up his college degree in University of Washington. So he was one of the first few Chinese who was able to study abroad. And my father, so he sent also his children, my father included, to the U.S. to study. He graduated from the Indiana University with many of his siblings. So we weren't really raised super Chinese, In fact, we didn't even know how to speak Chinese then. And we learned it in school, and after when we got married is when we learned how to speak it, with our husbands. But we would understand, but not really speak it. So we were kind of like more modern in that sense, because we're already exposed to Filipino culture, Western culture, Chinese culture. So we're like, halo-halo culture.
Their first language, in fact, was Filipino because the children, 7 girls, were raised by Filipino yayas. They were assimilated into the Filipino culture from an early age. With no brothers to speak of, the 7 daughters grew up in an atmosphere that one could say was more fun than in other smaller households. She laughingly says that her father was often asked how living with 7 daughters felt like, and he would answer that it was worse than living with 7 wives. The patriarch, Julius Limpe, was not strict despite raising 7 daughters. It was the matriarch who was in fact the disciplinarian, the lady who, with 5 or 6 children at home, found time to finish her law degree. Olivia talked about living in Caloocan, then moving to Quezon City. She attended the Immaculate Conception Academy till grade 4. That was when her father decided that it was time for the children to learn the Chinese language. The girls attended the St. Stephen's High School, and from there, Olivia proceeded to the University of the Philippines, where she earned her degree in business economics. She would have wanted to follow in her mother's footsteps and become a lawyer, but right after college, she got herself immersed in the family business.
I didn't even have vacation, so I just went straight from school to work, and that's it, it was non-stop.
Like a typical Chinese family, the children were immersed into the family business early on. Olivia had fond memories of a different kind of playground when she was very young.
Well, our exposure to the business started very, very early, even as young children. I would say this was like our playground. So like during summertime, my father would bring us to the plant, to the office of the plant, and we could roam around, and play, wherever we wanted. And then when we were in grade school, he would assign us some work. So I remember also being assigned to the factory, doing labeling, So he said that it was very important for us to learn the value of money, that it wasn't easy to make money, and that we should value the people who work for us, because a corporation is composed of so many people from the top to the bottom, and all of them are important to us. So he said that you should know how hard it is to make money, and so you must undergo all of these steps. So when I was in high school, I would do a lot of the gopher work. He would do this, bring this here, bring that there, and call this person for me, kind of like a gopher.
Right after college, Olivia became the full-time secretary of her father, in the process learning much about the other aspects of the business. Eventually, she moved on to production, sales, marketing, and even finance before she could take the top position. We asked Olivia, was there ever a time when you entertained ideas of running your own business, not just taking over an established family business?
There was a time when I asked permission from my parents if they would allow me to do something on my own, just to prove to myself that I could be an entrepreneur. It's really different when you're working with a family business because it's already there. So whatever you do is really more to maintain and to grow, And you sometimes wonder if you are able, as you asked me that question, I asked that question myself, that if I were on my own, would I have been able to succeed in any business venture? And so I was very grateful to my father and of course my mother, who gave me that opportunity to prove to myself, Otherwise, I would have grown old and, having all that thoughts that, what if I did it? Well, I should have gone on my own and not helping the family. So I think it was important for me to be able to concentrate on what I'm doing now, that I be able to try and prove to myself that I am a business person.
Olivia took over the helm in 2004. Many would ask why, of all the 7 daughters, it was in her lap that the stewardship of the family-owned company fell. She was the 5th child, and as the other girls married, the others chose to concentrate on their young families.
I felt, if I didn't take this seriously, what's going to happen? And I couldn't bear the thought that just because I didn't take on the challenge or I didn't want to take on the responsibility, there would be no successor in the family. Because I've seen how my father put his life into this business, it's like it was his whole life.
And so she took over the reins of the company. Her father died in November 2014, and this year marks Olivia's 12th year as head honcho of DistilleriaLimtuaco.
In our family, the tradition is every generation must know how to make spirits. We can't, just be, finance people or marketing people. First and foremost, we have to know how to make spirits because that's our core business. So I was trained early on the manufacturing side, the R&D side. So I know how to make spirits, and that is a family tradition. And we believe that every generation must contribute something new to the business for it to survive, because if you don't innovate and you don't change, you'll become a dinosaur.
DistilleriaLimtuaco started in 1852. Continuity of the business was her father Julius's task, and soon this was passed on to her. Contributing something new for each generation that comes into the business makes the company relevant to the times, Olivia says.
A company as old as ours has its ups and downs. But if you have a strong foundation, you can weather the crisis. So we're always preparing, trying to improve. And I think that would be really any company's secret to longevity.
Olivia showed us her wide range of products. We noted that her product range includes such lines as the native Basi, and she says it is her hope to help promote Philippine products.
Very much. I'm a nationalist at heart. I guess it's from our UP education. We really love our country and we are proud to be Filipinos, and we feel that it is our duty, in every way we can to promote the Philippines. It's our contribution to nation building. And I think it's about time that we step up, and upgrade the standards of Philippine spirits. And I would like very much to see a lot of our brands in foreign markets, yes, which we're doing now.
The company now exports to Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, China, and the US. She is very thankful to the Department of Trade and Industry as well as to the Department of Foreign Affairs for helping them out in identifying new markets abroad. And what advice can she give to women who run their own businesses?
Actually, running a business isn't easy, right? It's just multifaceted, everything's happening at the same time. And so I think the most important thing that I learned, for you not to be stressed out, is to face your problems as they come. Face it head on, find solutions, spend a lot of time thinking of solutions, spend a lot of time thinking of how to prevent problems from happening. Then don't procrastinate, because if you procrastinate, it's going to catch up with you.
The youthful Olivia Limpe has 3 sons: Clifford, 30 years old, Aaron, who is turning 28, and the youngest Brandon, who is 23 years old. Ironically, she has no daughter, but all her boys have been steeped into the business, and they have contributed their own line through these cocktail drinks in pouches, which are ready to go, whether for picnics or parties. And what is a typical day for Olivia Limpe?
I come to work having in mind already what I want to accomplish during the day. And I end it by deciding what I have to do tomorrow.
She is president of the Distilled Spirits Association of the Philippines, which was formed because the World Trade Organization had filed a case against the Philippines, and they felt that the industry had to rally together to defend and protect their interests. She may be a daughter, wife, and mother, but she is the tough persona who sits on the throne.
Well, I always say that even being a woman doesn't entitle us to have special treatment. That is not how the world works. That's not reality. So when you decide to be in business, don't look at gender. I mean, yes, we're women. Chivalry is only for social matters. But remember, business is competition, and gender shouldn't be an issue there. So if you are a woman entrepreneur, you want to go into the business, you want to compete in the business, be ready for competition. And I would say the best way to do it is know your business well. So if you ask me if I know how to make spirits, yes, I know how to make spirits. So if you are in the fashion business, you should know how to make clothes. You're in the shoe business, you should know how to make shoes. You're in the food business, you have to know how to cook. Because only by knowing the basic and by mastering the basic techniques and technologies and processes is when you can only start to innovate. So you have to be the best cook, you have to be the best dressmaker, you have to be the best shoemaker, you have to be the best whatever, in whatever field you are, and then innovate.
And the legacy that she would like to leave behind.
the most important is when you do business, you must always maintain your integrity. Because once you destroy your name, it's very hard to get it back. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned from my grandparents, my parents, is the best thing that you can leave your children is a good name. Well, I would like to be remembered as the person who put Philippine spirits on the world map.
And that she did, put her beloved brand on the world map. No doubt she has accomplished much, and she didn't have to wait to be old and wrinkled to be able to do that.